What's your favorite creature from myths and urban legends, and why? Leviathan/Kraken. I just love the idea of giant sea monsters for some reason. Whenever I'm playing a video game and there are giant sea monsters, I get so giddy. The Phoenix. Ever need a second chance? Biological immortality? Just a buddy to keep you warm some days? It always rises from the ashes and reinvents itself. Nice metaphor for life too. I think for me, it is Leetavns maybe, because that is the only mythical creature of my country that is actually terrifying. According to legends, Leetavns is a soul of a killed, strangled, drowned, or hanged person, which is cursed to live in this world as long as it has been meant to live. It attacks people while they sleep. You will wake up at night paralyzed, with this monster standing above you, his hand wrapped around your neck. When under attack, one must move the toe of the left foot to get rid of the attacker. It is also said that you can't hide from Leetavns, because Leetavns is able to enter even through keyholes. I think that is just a attempt to explain sleep paralysis and nightmares in my culture, but is an interesting legend nonetheless. Goatman. The idea that you don't know it was there until after it's gone is super freaky. I remember reading a story once about a group that went camping out in the desert somewhere, all sat round a fire at night. Out of the darkness a man with a goat's head walks up to the fire and sits amongst them. They all carry on like it's not there, but are all somehow aware it's there, but some kind of calm comes over them all. After a while the goatman stands up and puts his hand on the shoulder of the man next to him, who also then stands up. They walk away together into the darkness and no one says anything and remains calm like nothing is wrong. Over the next hour they slowly come to their senses that this wasn't normal and some creature has taken their friend away into the night. The Manananggal from Philippine mythology. Really unique. It's basically a girl that turns into a vampire at night and eats unborn children. It detaches its torso and flies around at night, and it hates garlic and holy items. Also the Pinanglan, a floating vampiric head trailing organs. Starless. The description is enough of an explanation for why. I mean, who wouldn't love this? He teaches astronomy and is knowledgeable about herbs, plants, and precious stones. He is often depicted as a raven or a crowned owl with long legs. Sounds like a chill dude. The Oberion. A Japanese monster which forces you to give it a piggyback ride, then either crushes you under its weight, or makes you rich if you make it to your destination. It's a win-win in my eyes. Oberion is a child-sized monster from Niigata Prefecture which loves to ride people piggyback style. Oberion lurks in bushes and trees by the side of the road, and when a traveler walks by, it leaps out onto their back crying out, "Oberion." If the traveler relents and carries the Oberion on his back, the monster becomes heavier and heavier with each footstep, nearly crushing the traveler under its weight. In addition, this mischievous yokai chews the scalp of a person good enough to carry it, further adding to his misery. According to some tales, as the Oberion becomes heavier and heavier, it eventually crushes its victim under its weight. However, more commonly, when a person has dutifully carried the Oberion the whole way home, he or she finds that the strange burden was a sack of money all along, and becomes incredibly rich. The Kthi from the Kingkiller Chronicle. It is a perfect oracle. It sees all possible futures with total clarity, no vague prophecy bullshit. It knows exactly what will happen, and it is viciously evil. The Kthi is unable to leave its prison, but it manipulates anyone that contacts it into the absolute worst possible outcome for the world. It knows exactly what to say and do to twist the future into the worst possible thing, and that's exactly what it does. Agreed. I adore the whole concept. Plus the thing is guarded 24/7 and anyone who talks to it is put to death as a means to quarantine its effect on the world. My favorite is the Jogumo from Japanese mythology. She is a spider woman yokai who attracts men in and eats them. I find the myth present in her story extremely entertaining. A lumberjack drops his axe in a river near the Jogumo's cave. He mourns over his one and only axe, but a beautiful woman appears and gives him his axe back, only to disappear. The man returns every day to chat with the woman, but a local Buddhist priest finds that the woman is fishy. He comes with the lumberjack one day and the woman isn't there, but a spider web suddenly shoots out of a cave and the priest repels it. The man is now devastated that the woman he loved is really the Jorguno, but he jumps into the river and a spider web grabs him and drags him off. I just think the story is really interesting and funny, especially the ending. I'm sorry if I got any details of the story wrong. Please feel free to correct me in the replies. Sirens. I just like sea mythical creatures and always found them so interesting and majestic. Interesting fact, in the original Greek stories sirens aren't really sea creatures at all. They're birds with human female heads and maybe some upper torso depending on the specific depiction. The stories where they lived on islands and their songs, because they are birds see, birds sing, would lure sailors to their doom crashing ships into the rocky land. But the sirens themselves weren't aquatic in any way. Later the myth got filtered through medieval Europe, and they made the natural inference that crashes ships equals aquatic monster despite that not being how the ancient Greek legend went. That depiction has persisted to this day. Yog-Sothoth. Because Yog-Sothoth knows the gate. Yog-Sothoth is the gate. Yog-Sothoth is the key and guardian of the gate. Past, present, future, all are one in Yog-Sothoth. He knows where the old ones broke through of old, and where they shall break through again. He knows where they have tread Earth's fields, and where they still tread them, and why no one can behold them as they tread. I kinda like all the deadly women yokai in Japan. Yuki-onna, a ghost woman who might cause you to freeze to death. Futaka-chi-onna, a woman with a mouth in the back of her head that'll eat you out of house and home. But my favorite might be Kachisake-onna, the slit-mouthed woman. There's an old version and an updated new version. In the old version she holds a fan over her face, and in the new she wears a surgical mask like many people actually do in Japan. So late at night you're walking through the streets and you come across a young lady crying. You approach to ask her what's wrong and she turns, the lower half of her face covered. She says she's just been dumped, and asks you if you think she's pretty. If you say no, she'll kill you. If you say yes, she'll remove her mask and reveal her sliced open cheek and enormous sharp teeth. Then she'll ask you again if you think she's pretty. Say no, she kills you. Say yes, she cuts your cheek to match her own. This one is pretty local to Loveland, Ohio, but I really like the Loveland frog. Back in the 70s there were a few sightings of a weird humanoid frog that would scurry around on its hind legs. Eventually it was shot by police, who discovered that it was a large pet iguana with the tail cut off. Local newspapers played up the story big time. Probably angels. I like biblical angels in fantasy stories, such as Darksiders or Diablo. Especially stories that use eldritch, monstrous depictions of biblical angels, such as the ones in Sod Interval. Well, they are also described as rather eldritch and monstrous in the Bible itself. Cherubim. In the book of Ezekiel, and, at least some, Christian icons, the cherub is depicted as having 2 pairs of wings, and 4 faces, that of a lion, representative of wild animals, an ox, domestic animals, a human, humanity, and an eagle, birds. Their legs were straight, the soles of their feet like the hooves of a bull, gleaming like polished brass. Thrones. The thrones, also known as Ophanim, Aphanim, and Galgalim, are creatures that function as the actual chariots of God driven by the cherubs. They are characterized by peace and submission. God rests upon them. Thrones are depicted as great wheels containing many eyes, and reside in the area of the cosmos, where material form begins to take shape. Seraphim. Seraphim are the highest angelic class and they serve as the caretakers of God's throne and continuously shout praises. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, the whole earth is full of his glory. According to Isaiah 6:1-8, the seraphim are described as fiery 6-winged beings, with 2 wings that cover their faces, with another 2 that cover their feet, and the last 2 they use to fly. The Nagliashiayaka skinwalkers. If you know much about them, and the areas where they roam according to the Navajo peoples, then you might be as afraid of talking about them as the Navajo are. Even if you marry into the tribe, they don't want to discuss that at all. It's hard for outsiders to learn about, but there's just enough lore about them out there to be absolutely terrifying. Harry Dresden would like to know your location. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.